Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Amanda. Today I'm going to be doing my postpartum routine, postpartum, what to expect, everything about my postpartum journey. I'm going to give you guys all my tips and tricks and give you the tea on, or the inside scoop, should I say, on everything postpartum. I am here alone with my daughter, who is almost 4 weeks old, not quite a month because she'll be a month on the 26th, and Friday is technically 4 weeks, so she's 4 weeks old almost. So I'm here alone with her. If you guys hear like an electronic glider in the background, that is what that is. It's her. So this video might be super choppy. I don't know how her nap is going to go. She's already been sleeping for about an hour and a half, so she could wake up to want to eat here soon, but hopefully I am able to finish this video with as little interruptions as possible and that it will have a pretty good flow. So let's go ahead and get right into this video. Okay, so I'm gonna be really honest with you guys. I'm gonna give you guys everything that I experienced postpartum so far. So I'm about 1 month postpartum, and there was a lot that happened that I had been told about or knew about or had watched about or researched about, but they don't tell you to the extent of what to expect from it. They're just gonna say, oh, you have to deliver the placenta, or you are going to bleed, or you might tear, and very generic responses. So I'm gonna try to go into as much detail as I can about my experience and just everything you need to know post giving birth. So the first thing what's gonna happen is you're gonna give birth to your placenta. I've had mixed people tell me whether or not they've had a good experience or a bad experience delivering the placenta. Some women say it was painful. Some people said that they didn't even feel it. In my case scenario, I did not feel it. And if I did feel it, it wasn't enough to like pull my mind from the fact that I was literally holding my daughter on my chest that I had just given birth to. So honestly, I just didn't feel my placenta coming out. Some women say it's like birthing a baby all over again, and that's not what it felt like to me at all. I did have the epidural, so I'm not sure if that played a part in not feeling the placenta being delivered, but yeah, I did not feel it. But they did ask me if I wanted to see it, and they did, and I did say yes, and they showed me all the different parts of it, and the sac and the cord and all those types of cool things. So hopefully your doctor will ask you if you want to see yours, and if you say yes, you can see it. It's pretty cool, unless you're keeping it for like encapsulation, which I did not do. Some women have had really good experiences with it, with like postpartum depression or their milk supply or whatever research and reasoning they have for it. I personally, with the research I did, decided not to do that. Some people say that it's amazing, some people say it's not. So I personally just decided to not do it and to test out those waters. And I don't regret my decision at all. I haven't had any postpartum depression or signs of it so far. I am 1 month postpartum. I did have a little bit of baby blues, but those went away. And I had prenatal, there's a fly in my house. My neighbors have chickens, and they come to my house because I have dogs and they poop and I have to pick it up. But TMI, but yeah, that's why there's a fly in my house. But anyways, what was I talking about? Oh, I did have a little bit of postpartum anxiety, but I've also had that my entire life. I had it during my pregnancy, I had it pre-pregnancy, but it has not been super bad, and I do have medication for it in case I do have really bad anxiety. But I honestly have had no anxiety except for the normal anxiety that comes with having a newborn. So yeah, I have not been taking that, but you are gonna wanna watch out for all three of those factors: postpartum depression, postpartum anxiety, baby blues. There's probably a bunch more that you should probably know about, but those are the three that are usually the most common and the most talked about. But yeah, so then after you deliver the placenta, the doctor is going to, or might tell you at that time, if you tore or if you didn't tear. I did tear, I teared, or my tear was a 2nd degree tear. So that's like, I don't know how bad that is. I honestly don't know the tearing scale, but 2nd degree is pretty common is what my doctor told me. And I just had to have stitches, which were dissolvable stitches, so I didn't have to get them taken out or anything. I feel like that would be really painful, so that's why they just do the dissolvable ones. If you tear, they will tell you what kind of routine you have, like an extra postpartum tearing. If you have to, like if you extremely tear, I assume there's probably a little bit more you're supposed to do. If you don't tear at all, maybe there's a little less you have to do, but they might recommend you do the same thing. I'm not sure. But I have 2nd degree tear, so that's what I'm gonna go off of. And honestly, I would do this even if I didn't tear. The only time that I'd probably do more is if I tore worse. But if I didn't tear at all, I probably would still do everything the same. So what that consists of is immediately after I gave birth, or not immediately after, I guess after the golden hour and they were ready to transfer me to my postpartum recovery room, the nurse asked me to pee because you have to pee after giving birth. That's like one of your milestones you have to check in order to get discharged from the hospital. And my nurse, for some reason, I'm not sure why, she made me pee before I left my birthing room, and it burned so bad. And I didn't have a peri bottle, I had no dermaplast, I had nothing. I just peed and it burned, and it burned the entire time I was sitting in the wheelchair from my postpartum room, or my delivery room, to my postpartum recovery room. It burned so bad. I don't know why that would have even been a thing. I think I could have waited until I got into my room and the next nurse could have said, okay, you have to pee, after they'd given me all my self-care stuff. But man, it burned so bad. And I said, like, it burns, do you have something that I can like clean with? And she was like, oh, you have to wait till you get to your postpartum recovery room. And I was like, so why did you make me pee here when you knew I didn't even have the stuff to like clean it? And I literally just got these stitches and I just gave birth. Like, it was just very odd for me. That might be very like routine, but next time if I do give birth next time vaginally, I will say no, I'm not gonna pee until I have peri bottle, because I know that crap burns and I don't want it to burn. So after you pee, you will use the peri bottle with lukewarm water. If you want cold water, you can use it, but lukewarm water is what my nurses told me. And then you will pat dry, like very softly pat dry. You're not gonna wanna wipe until your stitches are pretty much gone. I still very rarely wipe down there. I'm 4 weeks postpartum, almost a month, and I very rarely wipe. I will wipe every once in a while to see if I get discomfort, but honestly, I prefer to pat dry still. And then I was using dermaplast, which is very common. Some people use the Freedom Mom witch hazel perineal foam in replace of the Tux, and some people even replace it with the dermaplast. But I sprayed it with the dermaplast, and then I would put the pad in the mesh undies that they gave me. I also had the Freedom Mom underwear, postpartum underwear, which I really loved. And then, but I did use the hospitals while I was there, like the mesh panties that they give you that are really crappy. I did use those. And then I laid the Tux pads, usually 3 of them, inside of the pad, and just made sure that they were, you know, in line from, they're touching the tear and, you know, the area that just got destroyed giving birth. So yeah, that's the order I did it. I would pee, peri bottle, pat dry, dermaplast, pad in the underwear, and then Tux pads. And you could also use the perineal foam in your pad as well. I did do that once I ran out of the Tux pads, because I really didn't see a reason to buy more, because I didn't think I needed a whole nother thing. Also, don't leave that stuff at the hospital that they give you. Take it with you. I don't know why I left mine there. I asked them if I was allowed to take it. They said yes. I literally took everything else. I took the diapers and everything for her, but I forgot all my stuff. So I had to go out and buy dermaplast, and luckily I had Tux pads and pads and all that stuff and underwear here. But if you just don't forget it at the hospital, because I did, and that was really bad. The next thing, what you're gonna expect bleeding wise. So the first couple days I bled so much that if I had to, for some reason, get up out, like while I was using the bathroom, I would drip blood onto the floor of the bathroom. This mostly happened whenever I would try to take a shower, which I will get into in a second. So my bleeding was very, I wouldn't say it was super heavy, but it was like a heavy period. But some women say it's like 10 times. I would say it was like 3 or 4 times. It definitely wasn't 10 times as worse. as a period, but you know, every experience is different, every woman's different, but mine I would say was like 3 or 4 times worse than a period. I wouldn't go to the extent of 10 times worse. That was really scary when I saw that. I was like, that's a lot of blood, but in my opinion, it wasn't that much blood. I mean, it was a lot of blood, don't get me wrong, but it wasn't like an overwhelming amount of blood for me personally. Another thing that people tell you, they are going to push on your stomach once you give birth every couple of hours, and they do that to make sure that the blood, that you aren't losing too much blood. They will say, have you felt like you've had a lot of blood loss? Do you think you haven't bled enough? Like, what do you think's going on? Like, they'll just ask you your opinion, and then they'll push on your stomach and they will check to see what kind of blood comes out. Mine was always perfectly normal, but it hurt so bad. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you it didn't hurt. It hurt, it hurt, it hurts, but you will get through it, I promise. The next thing is, while I'm talking about them pushing on your stomach, you are gonna have postpartum contractions if you're breastfeeding. I didn't even know this was a thing until I was in the hospital and I was breastfeeding, and the nurse walked in and I was like, I feel like I'm having contractions. I feel like I'm gonna give birth to another baby. And she's like, those are completely normal. It's your uterus shrinking. I don't know if this happens to women that choose not to breastfeed, but it did happen to me, and it only happened when I was breastfeeding. So if you're a mom who did not breastfeed and you still got them, or you did not get them, leave them down below. So if someone who has decided to not breastfeed wants to know that, they can, from another mama, just not like the internet or whatever. But I don't know if postpartum, I would assume they get them. But I only got mine when I was breastfeeding, so I don't know, maybe they don't get them, I don't know. Anyways, the next thing is going number 2. You guys all worry about it. I went number 2 literally the second I got into my recovery room. I didn't even have a stool softener in yet, and honestly, it didn't even hurt that bad. I sprayed so much dermaplast down there because it was hurting to pee, or burning to pee, that I didn't even feel it. So they did still continue to give me stool softeners, and I have gone number 2 since then, obviously. But yeah, don't be scared. That's another thing that they will want checked off your list, except for, at least for me, they wanted it checked off the list, or at least passing gas is what they wanted. They said I could either pass gas or go number 2. Whichever one came first, they were okay with either one. So yeah, they will give you a stool softener. If they don't, that's odd, and you probably can ask for one. Talking about showering, I was allowed to shower immediately after giving birth. I waited a couple hours because I gave birth at almost 11 p.m. so I didn't shower until the following day because it was almost midnight. But it felt amazing. It didn't burn. I didn't really use any soap down there that time because I was really nervous. I really didn't know what to put down there. So I kind of just like let the water run through and cleaned it off. And then since I had such a good hygiene after like going to the bathroom, like with the peri bottle and the dermaplast and the Tux pads, I felt like it was clean and didn't have to use soap. I since have used soap when I got home. I slowly used soap to kind of just feel if it burned or not, and it never burned for me with using soap. And I have read that you can take baths immediately. I have taken 1 bath and I haven't had anything negative come from it. I just used a little bit of Epsom salt and sat in the bathtub. When I did my own research, it says that it was perfectly fine, just not to use like bath bombs or anything like that, just to keep it either plain bath water or doing like a sitz bath or using Epsom salt. So that's what I did. The only thing that I can think of after birth that was difficult for me was when I went from standing to sitting. I feel like when I would stand, I was fine. But then when I'd go to sit, it was kind of like I had to like maneuver my bottom in order to be comfortable, because it was still sore, although I had pain medication, which is something that I wrote down here. Pain medication is usually offered. I kind of like just would have to like, even on the soft bed, like kind of just like, you know, kind of find a comfortable position, and that can be really hard, like if you're holding your newborn baby, or if you're trying to another thing was moving the bed up my buttons were on the freaking outside of my bed, which was so annoying. I had to literally like lean over and like try to find the buttons. It was so annoying. Usually they're inside the bed, like inside the handle. Mine was on the outside. It was so annoying. So it was hard to get to her sometimes, but that was like the only thing that was super painful. Besides peeing, that burned really bad. Trying to find a comfortable position. I guess one of those donut pillow things that blow up would have been pretty helpful, but I didn't have one and the hospital didn't have one or offer one, so I just kind of dealt with it. But that's like the only thing that I can. Okay, so the postpartum contractions were painful. Peeing without cleaning stuff was painful. And then just like kind of like adjusting from standing to sitting. And that's basically everything that was in the hospital. If I missed something or if you experienced something else and you want other mamas to know, leave the comments down below so other mamas can read them and see what kind of experiences you've had. Once you're at home, you're gonna continue the same self-care routine. You are going to go to the bathroom, use your peri bottle, pat dry, dermaplast, change your pad or your mesh undies, and insert Tux pad or witch hazel foam, or if you have icicle pads. Oh, which reminds me, I don't have it written down. I made padsicles. I did not use them. I don't know what I did, but they defrosted really weird. You're supposed to let them defrost a little bit, but they like became like mush. I don't know if it was the type of pad I used or what it was, but it just didn't work for me. So I ended up throwing them all away. Glad I didn't waste too many pads, but yeah, I ended up not using padsicles at all. They didn't work. Like I couldn't even put them on in my underwear because they were just, you know, not very, they wouldn't defrost. That's what I'm trying to say. My daughter is squealing, so my mind is kind of like wandering to her. The bleeding will start to dwindle down and you will start to feel a little bit back to your normal self. You'll start doing things around the house. You'll start trying to resume like everyday activities. And a good indicator of when you're doing too much is your bleeding's gonna get heavier. Your bleeding will come back. So that means you need to kind of press on the brakes and kind of relax, because your body is gonna tell you what you're doing, if you're doing too much and stuff. So don't be like me and think you're done bleeding and then go out to the store and walk for an hour and then come home and realize you bled through your shorts because you did too much. You pushed your body and you weren't fully healed or recovered. So yeah, don't do that. Another thing, I can't even believe I'm gonna talk about this on the internet, but I'm going to because that's what my channel and what my content's about. Hemorrhoids. They're so common during pregnancy and postpartum. I experienced one and I still, actually today, I learned that hemorrhoids can burst. So a hemorrhoid, I didn't get a hemorrhoid until like about a week ago. It's just basically, I think what's the proper word? An enlarged vein. Hold on, swollen veins. And they can burst. I didn't even know that. Mine burst this morning. It was not fun, it was not pleasant. So I, of course, went to the Google and I typed it in if it was normal to burst. And it is normal as long as the bleeding stops within 10 minutes, which mine did. Hemorrhoids are uncomfortable, very uncomfortable. Mine itched. Mostly it hurts to go to the bathroom, even with a stool softener, and usually they go away on their own. Sitz baths are recommended, which is why I took a bath in the first place with Epsom salt, because I wanted to see if it would work. And yeah, so it kind of went away on its own. Like I said, this morning it burst and now I haven't felt anything. It's a little sore, but that's about it. And I probably will take a stool softener just to make sure that it doesn't hurt when I go to the bathroom again. But yeah, you might get a hemorrhoid. Don't be embarrassed about it, because I was embarrassed about it, but it's very, very common, and you may get one or you may get multiple. A lot of people, apparently they're super common for postpartum and during pregnancy. So yeah, that's what I experienced one. Whenever I got home from the hospital, my emotions were at an all-time high. They have now since dwindled down, but those emotions are just because of all those hormonal adjustments going on in your body, which is so like crazy to think about. Your body is producing these new hormones. It's trying to get rid of the old hormones. It's trying to regulate back to a normal. It just went through something super traumatic and it's trying to figure itself out. And I mean, I cried over everything. You know, being a new mom is hard. You're gonna cry probably a lot. I'm not gonna sit here and say that being a new mom is easy. There are times when you're like, oh, this isn't as bad as I thought it was gonna be. And then there's other times when you're literally holding your crying baby, can't figure out, you've changed their diaper, they're fed, they're burped, they don't have gas, and you just cannot figure out what the problem is. And you're like, okay, this is very overwhelming. And that is completely normal. But watch out for those baby blues, baby depression, baby depression. Watch out for baby blues, postpartum depression, and postpartum anxiety. If you're confused on the difference of what's normal and what's not normal, talk to your provider, your healthcare professional, and they should be able to tell you. I personally wouldn't rely on the internet too much when it comes to your mental health, especially when you have a newborn or other kids in the house. If you feel off, talk to someone. If you feel any sort of something that doesn't feel normal, for me, everything I was like feeling, I was like, this is normal, this is normal. But when I had like anxiety when I was pregnant, and even before I got pregnant, I had anxiety, I would be like, this is not normal, this is not normal. I should not be feeling this way. I shouldn't be thinking this way. So luckily I haven't felt that way about any of my emotions. All of them to me have been what I would consider normal emotions. The last thing that I want to talk about is wearing a band postpartum for helping your uterus shrink back. I wore one for about 3 or 4 days, and it really helped because I was having really bad back pain and my stomach was still protruding a lot. My uterus was not shrinking as much as I thought it would or expecting it to. So I went ahead and purchased a postpartum band, and it helped my back so much. And it also, in the long run, helped my uterus shrink back even faster, which was nice. So, my daughter is waking up, and I think I covered everything. If I didn't cover everything, leave your experiences or whatever you want new mamas to know down below so they can kind of feel out what is, like they can just go off of personal experiences and not just what the internet says is normal and what's not normal. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any questions, leave them down below or message me on Instagram. I try to be super proactive when people ask me questions. So just go over there and ask me there, comment on, if I don't respond to your story, like if you send me a private message, I don't respond, comment on one of my pictures and say, hey, I sent you a message, and then it will kind of cue me to go look at my private or my message requests, because all of them go into a separate folder, which can get very filled very quickly if you post a lot of stories. So either comment down below, go on my Instagram. Those are all good places to get a hold of me. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Good luck if you're about to give birth. Love that new baby. Or if you already gave birth and you're just looking for someone who's experiencing something similar to you, congratulations, and you're gonna get through this. You've got it. You're gonna be a badass mom. And yeah, so hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you guys in my next one. Bye guys.
It doesn't even make sense why I think about you.